Strand Titan is way more powerful than most of us were anticipating. It's always hard to tell until we get our hands on the subclass itself, but I'm happy to say that Strand Titan feels incredible. There's a few different ways we can build it depending on what you want to lean into, but this subclass takes everything we love about Strand and puts a unique Titan twist on it. Today we'll go over everything you need to get a full understanding of the Berserker subclass, so if you enjoyed the video, a like and sub is greatly appreciated, but let's get into it. One of the things that makes Strand Titan so unique is how it can utilize the Woven Mail buff. Our first aspect into the fray makes it so destroying a Strand Tangle or casting our super grants our allies the Woven Mail buff. It also greatly increases our melee regen while we have Woven Mail. This aspect forms the base of a ton of synergy that we can take advantage of. Our second aspect is Dranger's Lash. This makes our Titan Barricade shoot a wave of Strand energy that suspends any targets that it hits. This turns our Barricade into an offensive tool that shuts down packs of enemies and champions while still granting us the benefits of a normal barricade. We'll be pairing these two aspects with the new Abeyant Leap exotic legs. These have the perk Puppeteer's Control. This buffs our barricade further by adding 2 waves of Strand energy that track more aggressively, but most importantly, it grants us the Woven Mail buff for free anytime we suspend a target. This is great because it allows us to use our fragments more freely without having to rely on anything else to get the Woven Mail buff. Looking at our abilities, our melee is Frenzied Blade. This has 3 charges and each melee will sever the target, which reduces their damage output. You can use these in quick succession or even as a short range shoulder charge for additional movement. When it comes to our grenades, you can still freely use the grapple grenade here. The grapple melee works great on Titan, and you can follow up with multiple Frenzied Blade strikes to take down bigger targets. While the grapple is obviously incredibly fun, in higher tier content it does get more difficult to utilize without getting killed, and the damage output sadly doesn't keep up against high tier enemies. For things like Nightfalls or difficult content with champions, I recommend the Shackle Grenade. This grants us the ability to suspend enemies on demand with our grenade, and thanks to Abeyant Leap, we also gain the Woven Mail buff when we do so. Use whichever one you like, just keep in mind that there is a time and place to not use the grapple grenade. Moving on to our fragments, we start with Thread of Mind. This grants us class ability energy when we defeat suspended targets. This obviously works great with our barricade and works hand in hand to refund our class ability for the next time we need it. Next is Thread of Generation. This fragment grants us grenade energy anytime we deal damage of any kind. This helps no matter which grenade you choose to use. Third, we'll take Thread of Wisdom. This creates an orb of power when we defeat suspended targets with precision final blows. This is a really nice way to create additional orbs, which will fuel all of our armor mods and grant us abilities back even quicker. For our 4th slot, we have 2 options to choose from. If you want to go all in on Suspend, which is what I personally recommend, I would take Thread of Continuity. This increases the duration of all Strand debuffs and grants us a lot of breathing room for getting our abilities back. You could also take Thread of Fury, which grants us melee energy when damaging enemies with a Tangle. If you pick up the Tangles and throw it into a pack of enemies, it does grant a lot of melee energy, but as is the nature of Destiny, you're not necessarily going to use your melee a ton in really high tier content. For general content, however, this fragment is excellent. Whichever way you decide to take the build, I put together a suite of armor mods that will work great. Feel free to screenshot the mod screen for a snapshot of the build and use the dim link below to set this up for yourself. Depending on your weapon loadout, you may want to swap some of the elemental mods around, but on my helmet, I am taking the dual Void Strand Siphon mod for orb generation on either type of weapon kill, 1 copy of Ashes to Assets, and 1 copy of Hands On. The grapple melee will count as both a grenade and melee, meaning it will activate both mods if you do use the grapple grenade. On our arms, I am taking Focusing Strike and Bolstering Detonation. This will cause both our melee and grenade damage to lower the cooldown on our barricade, and then I take Heavy Handed to generate orbs on melee final blows. On our chest, I am taking Charged Up for an extra armor charge slot and 2 resist mods. On our legs, if you want, you can choose to take a Surge mod. This will increase that element of weapons damage by 10% while you have armor charges. I also take Insulation for class ability energy on orb pickup, as well as Recuperation for healing when we pick up an orb as well. On our class item, I am taking 1 copy of Outreach and 1 copy of Bomber. This will reduce our grenade and melee cooldowns when we use our barricade. Finally, I take time dilation to extend the duration of our surge mods up to 15 seconds. You could change this setup to use stacks on your legs and utility kickstart on your class item if you'd rather go all in on refunding your barricade. With our mods and subclass now set up, the weapons you choose to use will determine what artifact perks you will want to take. I've been using Wither Horde along with a Void primary and Void heavy weapon to take advantage of volatile flow, which is just free volatile rounds every time we pick up an orb. You can pair this with Shatter Orbs and Bricks from Beyond to generate free orbs when we break shields and heavy ammo for our team on Void weapon final blows against powerful targets. There are some very powerful perks on here if you choose to use a Strand weapon, and the Final Warning sidearm that I talked about in my Strand Hunter build is a fantastic Strand primary to go alongside them. This will add a nice layer of synergy to the build, but at the cost of having a primary weapon with Volatile. Untangler will allow our Strand tangles to create a suspending explosion. With the Abeyant Leap exotic legs, this will grant us Woven Mail. Allied Unraveling grants us unraveling rounds on our Strand weapons after Strand weapon multi-kills, which will lead to extra AoE damage and additional tangles. Finally, Threaded Blast greatly increases the damage and radius of the explosion from tangles when we destroy them with a Strand weapon. Be sure to take authorized mods grenades and multi-siphon mods as well for better mod economy. Either way you choose to set up your weapon loadout, we have some amazing artifact perks to make them even stronger. Now the best part about Titan is that we have some other great exotic options to pair with Strand as well. You could just as easily run Syntheseps to go all in on the grapple melee in our Frenzy Blade ability. Or you can run the tried and true Heart of Inmost Light, which is very strong here since we have 3 melee charges that can buff our other abilities extremely easily. Either way you run it, Strand Titan is a very powerful subclass that's a lot stronger than a lot of us were expecting. Be sure to use the dim loadout link below to get this set up on your character, and if you found the video helpful, a like and sub is greatly appreciated. Thank you guys as always for watching, and I will see you in the next one.